Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at SmashItDerby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at StirringDirtRacing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, welcome to the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 238 on deck. Jimmy Frost is going to be joining us here in just a minute to talk a little bit about his weekend in the last couple of weeks that he has been out there running the same car multiple different times, had some good success, and more rewarding than anything, finally found some success at his hometown fair. But before we do that, a little bit of some sad news came to us today by way of, oh darn, I navigated away from the screen, from Jade Malacote, who was with a bunch of other folks that Jade knows, and tagged a bunch of people all over the United States, telling us about Caleb's Wish. Caleb's Wish is racing decals. Caleb is a young fella who has been undergoing treatment for leukemia and is at a point where they have decided that they're no longer going to pursue treatment. And Caleb's wish is to have his coffin covered with racing decals, which it's a pretty noble choice, I guess. And there's plenty of people in and around Demolition Derby that's going to be able to help make that happen. I'm sure on the screen you'll see the address to send stuff. Caleb's Wish, they're looking for the racing decals. 314 NJ, Oskaloosa, Iowa, 52577. Go ahead, use that, get it out there, share it to as many people as you can to generate as many decals as possible. It'd be nice to have them double and triple layered. For that young man, Caleb, we wish his family the best in what is an absolutely awful time. But yeah, there's the address. We'll pop that up again here in a little bit. I saw Ron McClung has put out an All Points Bulletin looking for some panels. He's got his brother's roundback wagon out of the weeds. He's looking for a hood and a couple doors. I'm sure that the doors and hood that are on his are more than Derby quality, and he's looking to put some driver quality doors and hood on his ride so that he can get that thing back on the road and driving and more mobile. Brian, in case anybody's wondering, Brian is off at football, where he's going to be for the next 14 to 18 weeks, so we probably won't see him again until after we get past Blizzard Bash in November. On the topic of Blizzard Bash, we've got Jimmy Frost waiting on the line to tell us a little bit about how his summer's been and the not the most recent win, but probably the most meaningful win of the summer over at the Douglas County Fair. Jamie, how are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
We're doing okay. Did you get the email with a script in it? So this is easy for you?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, perfect. Jamie was a little bit nervous about coming on the show, but after I pestered him for the last 2 weeks, he finally agreed to it. So here we are. And it worked out good for the timing. You picked up a couple more top finishes over the weekend with this car that you've been wheeling, but beyond all that, you finally broke through for a win, kind of like Corey Klug last weekend, talking about taking 10 years to get it with the hometown fair, 17 years for you to finally win at Douglas County.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just to think that something I've wanted ever since I was a little child, playing with your Hot Wheels and, beating him up, finally getting a win at that Derby is just accomplishment for myself. So
I didn't think you were old enough to have 17 years of derbying in at one place.
Yeah, I've been driving since I was 15. And what it was at this Derby, my dad was an official for 20 some years. I'm not sure how long, but I was never able to run this one until I was actually 18. They wouldn't let me, have them sign up the paper or anything like that. I had to wait until I was 18. So, starting out at 15, having to wait those 3 years to jump in the seat to actually drive that Derby was not easy. But I waited and was patient, and then I waited more years to actually win. So it was pretty meaningful.
What's the build style like at that particular fair?
At that particular fair, we have bone stock class.
Right.
They run compacts. They run the full size cars. Then we have what is like a limited weld class. And I drove the limited weld. You can have a lower cradle. You can load your bumpers. You can cold tilt. You can't cut and tilt, but you can add some repair plates if it's a pre-ran car. Weld your doors. Just that sort of thing. But you can get multiple runs out of a car. It's
Sure.
good.
And the car that you had at this one had a couple runs on it before, right?
Yeah, I ran it in another town outside of this area, about 3.5 hours away. Went with my family down to a small town in Missouri, and was able to run it down there. Won that show, and then brought it back home and had to rebuild it to run around here because the rules were way different. Down there it was basically stock. You couldn't tilt. You couldn't have a loaded bumper, but you could do everything else.
Right.
And so changed bumpers, I had to do a bunch of work because it wasn't for around here. But I'm glad I did because I had ambition not ambition, but I had thoughts of not even attempting it.
Right.
But I'm glad I made the changes that I did.
Well, I can see why. I mean, it's a pretty good decision. Take me through what that feature was like. I mean, at what point did you think that it was in the bag, that it was yours? Did you ever have a point where you felt like it could be slipping away?
The feature, it was crazy. I'm sure somebody will tell you in their area there's no drama. Well, in our area there's a lot of derby drama. And
okay.
I just tried to keep out of it, keep my nose clean, just try to pick my shots, trying to stay out of it. And it went about an hour. I think they said it was about an hour long, and I just kind of, I don't know. I was in different areas of the track, just didn't really stay in one particular spot, just kind of moved around. And all of a sudden it came down to 4 cars going, and I ended up getting hung up in a corner on another car, and just got banged around, got loose, and then those 2 cars got hung up. The other guy that was running fourth, he going out. We moved around a little bit, and those guys got hung up. They ended up pulling them apart, and at that point, they pulled second and third apart. And at that point, I thought, there's no way I can come back.
Right.
That it was over. I mean, I'm going against Nick Urlacher, Blizzard Bash winner, and another local guy here in town. Going against those guys, they were pretty tough competition.
Sure.
I thought it was over, but they ended up getting hung up again, and I kind of just tapped around at the end because you don't want to break them loose, and came home with the win. So,
why did they not pull them apart a second time? Is that sort of protocol there?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that. And they very well may not have been hung up.
Sure.
At that point, I was, jumping around in the car, so I can't. I think they gave me one attempt to get loose. I think one of them had lost reverse, and the other one was just the car was so hot that I'm not sure he was able to restart. So
yeah, right. The practice of pulling apart second and third, I haven't seen that before. Is that pretty regular out there?
I hadn't seen it either, but it just one of those deals where they wanted to keep the derby going and give everybody a chance, I guess, and just the way it played out.
Did you flag down any officials just to make sure they hadn't accidentally counted you out and thinking that they were pulling apart first and second?
I was, heat of the moment. I probably shouldn't have jumped out of my car, but I jumped out of my car and I was talking to the official. He explained it to me. I got back in the car, and then the derby played out after that. So
right. Out here, if you got out of the car like that under the red flag, you'd have been done.
Yeah, and it was one of those deals where because I was hung up on that corner.
Right.
And my question was, well, why didn't you pull us apart when we were down there? And they just said we were moving still, so that's why these guys were hung up. They were not able to move.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's just the way it played out.
That's interesting.
That's why I'm the driver and not the official, I guess.
That's right. Takes a lot of that pressure off.
Yeah.
Where's Was your dad around to see this?
Yeah, my dad was around. Yeah, the whole family was there. I'm lucky because I can say I have two hometowns.
Mm-hmm.
When I got married, my wife and I, we moved out of town about 20 minutes away, and I've won that show multiple times. The one
Right.
5 minutes from our house. And then up here where I was born and raised, and all my family, cousins, everybody still lives here in town. They were all mostly there and was able to watch it. I run with my nephew, Coy Lemming. He actually won it last year, so
Okay.
our family was able to take it back-to-back 2 years, so that was pretty special.
That's good. I didn't realize that Coy was your nephew.
Yep, he's my nephew.
Has Shan ever won this one?
No, Shan has not.
No.
No.
So next year, maybe?
We'll see.
He's going to have to take it from you, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
You won that other one multiple times, the one that's up the road, but then it comes to Douglas County, and you've been snake bit there. What makes this one so hard to win? I mean, how many? Just mentioning Nick Erlacher, there's one problem right there.
Yeah.
What makes this one so difficult?
To tell you the truth, but when we were growing up kids watching this derby, this was the one. This was
Okay.
the biggest one in this area. This was we didn't know there was any other derbies besides the Lawrence Derby. That was always the one that everybody wanted to win. I mean, you took your best stuff. Everybody had brand new parts. I mean, it was the biggest one. It would fill up back in the day. It was pre-enter only. It would fill up 80 cars in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And of course, all that's long gone. But
Sure.
it was the only one. I mean, as a kid, I remember the winners. I could tell you winners from like '92 until I started running.
Okay.
It was the one that everybody wanted, everybody chased after. It was the hardest one for everybody to win. And like I said, I tried an old iron, I tried wagons, I tried sedans, GM sedans, and finally got it done in a Crown Vic. So it's the Derby flow around here is definitely swayed back and forth with these builds. It went from like a full weld style Derby. Then they kind of went back to stock in the early 2000s. And then it's progressed to a mod class again, and now it's kind of tapering off again, going back lighter. I mean, it's still weld cars, but you're not allowed the full weld mod cars.
Right. It's not quite what you see at some place like Blizzard Bash or some of the other divisions that we've talked about in the past at the show. I mean, limited weld, it sounds like it's a little bit heavier than what you'd see in terms of a limited weld out in this part of the country, but at the same time, it's not quite the full weld monsters that we're accustomed to seeing in Blizzard Bash or in the kicker class at Bash for Cash either.
Yeah, we're allowed cradles, but we're not allowed like a full ski cradle with a DP and all that.
Right.
It's lower cradle only or no cradle at all. I mean, it's kind of up to the driver what they want to do or the builder. It's up to their preference. But running these high dollar motors, I would not. I don't like running without a cradle. I mean,
Sure.
They're there for certain things, but it's mainly there to protect that investment.
Right.
So
the win itself is got to be a special one, but you've been on a little bit of a tear in and around that victory too. 3 wins and a third now.
yeah, it's been a great summer so far. Couldn't imagine it any other way. It's been crazy. The first one was, like I said, in a small town, just with my family around, just parents and my wife and kids, and then we won the Lawrence one after that in August, and then the next night took it to the other hometown derby, which is 5 minutes from the house. Took third, ran against a bunch of guys that I'm buddies with, and just had fun there. And then last weekend, last Saturday, kind of a last-minute decision. Here in Kansas, you can go 30, 40 miles, and there's 3 or 4 derbies a night.
Right.
On the week. And so we kind of had our choice to go, 30 miles away or 40 miles away, or let's go 100 miles away. Well, I chose to go the one that was over 100 miles away because I wasn't sure who was going to be there.
Right.
But I just went to have fun I just took my wife and my kids, and we kind of just made a weekend out of it. But it was a total last-minute decision type thing where we just packed up and left after an hour of deciding we're going, and lo and behold, we came home with another win. So
Was it all with it was all with the same car, right?
Yeah, it's all the same car. And it's what it was. The car is an 1988 Crown Vic. It's an HD. It was actually a waffled car from Skinny.
Okay.
And the guy who won it, you may remember Cody Leach.
Okay, yeah.
No Namers, Jason Dials, and all them.
Right.
He won the car originally in the waffle, and he called me up, said, "I know you like these square bodies. I'm done. I've sold out." He goes, "I entered the waffle because it was like fun," and he said, "Are you interested in buying the car?" And of course, I said, "Yeah." I mean, the car was stripped.
Right.
It was ready to be built. We made the decision that night and made the deal and ran up the Skinnies that night and met Cody out there, and we loaded it up and brought it home.
So this car here, all the shows themselves were that same limited weld rules. It would seem that without having some of that extra stuff on it, that car would be a little bit softer, would be starting to show some wear. I'm a little surprised that you can get 4 runs out of these. Were all these features one and done, or did you have to go through heats with them as well?
2 of them are one and done. The one here in Lawrence was a heat feature type deal.
Okay. So you're looking at 5 or 6 runs on this. 4 of them were features, and then you've got a heat on there as well. So I mean, this car's been through its paces. It probably doesn't owe you a whole lot.
Yeah, it's showing its wear right now. So this last one was very, very muddy. I mean, I probably have 4 inches of mud on the frame right now. So it was very wet and sandy at this last track.
Does at this point, is there an end to the point where you get to put fix-it plates on it, or each one of these shows after you run it, you get another round of fix-it plates?
Around here, we basically the same promoter kind of has all the same shows inside this area, and he actually had the one in Salina that I went to Saturday.
Right.
So I knew that the car was going to get in because I fit their rule standard there, and we're allowed a certain number of plates, and each show you get another plate.
Yeah.
On top of what's already put on there. So
gotcha.
I was actually under the plate rule because the frame wasn't bending. And a lot of the guys I ran against were quite surprised that they had more than I did at the end of the Derby.
So, I mean, is it the case where you're going to wear out the body before you wear out the frame? Are you going to put a new body and just leave the frame alone?
We'll see. The body was pretty rusty. I had to put floors in it. So
yeah. It's always better to put floors in it than to use the ones that came with it, huh?
Yeah. It was. You were fed Flintstone on the passenger side, so it was pretty rusty. It was pretty soft.
How'd Salina go? I mean, Salina's no joke of a Derby either. That's a pretty serious one. To come away with a win, and that's not an easy path.
No, it was. I was by, like I said, I was by myself. I knew a couple of the guys, and just kind of same thing. Just kind of tried to stay out of everybody's way because going by yourself, you never know if you're the target right off the bat. And I kind of just played it by ear, drove around, made sure everything was okay, and then kind of turned it up after that.
Right. The Derby itself, that's another one that's pretty well attended. A lot of those names that we see in and around the Kansas circles were going to be there. So to come away with a win in that, using the same car that you won at Douglas was pretty impressive. Where is the state of Derby? I mean, you talked about how many Derbies are there. What's the car count like? I mean, are we talking about Derbies that are having 8-9 cars show up, or are we still pushing that number of 50, 60 entries?
If you look at the total numbers, yeah, it's up there in the 50s and 60s. If you're looking at certain class numbers, here in Lawrence, the limited weld, they had, I think, 20 cars. And so they split it into a heap of 10, took 4 to each heat and a consolation to the feature. Mm-hmm. These other shows that I've been at, you may have 12 to 15 cars, maybe, if that. But what's really booming right now is the bone stock class.
Yeah.
This one here alone, it was on a Friday night here in Lawrence. They had an over 40 compact.
Wow.
All in the track, one heat, one go. Because bone stock guys, you don't have parts. And
right.
Usually their cars don't last another round without fixing them.
Sure.
Turn around the next night, at the other show it's 30 miles away from here, they had over 30 compacts. So, I mean, the bone stock compacts is getting very popular. The 80s bone stock, same thing. I mean, they had 20 or more cars in that heat, and it was another one and done. I like building the cars where they last. I'm not really big on the bone stock class myself, just because I like to run a car more than one time. I don't like to keep building cars over and over just for the time's sake. I don't have time with, a family. I have 4 kids running around the house as it is right now. It's quite hectic at our house where you try to find time with family time and derby time. So.
Yeah, but if you play your cards right, before too long, having 4 kids running around the house, that's 4 sets of hands that can run a welder.
Well, that's true. I have 2 young boys. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old boy. Both of those boys can weld. So
that's cool.
They like being out in the garage. They like helping. They like holding wrenches. Every time I build a car, they're the ones help me do body bolts. So
awesome.
It's nice to have them in there holding the wrench while I tighten up from the bottom. So
is the 5-year-old the one that you posted the picture of playing with the derby cars in the dirt?
Yes, that's my 5-year-old. Birdie.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the one. He's the one that I will not take through inspection lines because he knows a little too much. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we give him a hard time. He'll tell anybody what he thinks he just saw me putting a fix-it plate on my car one time, and he goes, "Oh, Daddy put a plate on his car." Well, it was legal, but it's still funny.
Yeah, and the wrong ears hear that. It's an issue.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you prefer that heavy build. I mean, when you were a kid, that heavy stuff wasn't around yet, really. I mean, early 90s, it was a much different world. So, I mean, it's strange to hear. I guess it's not so strange if you think about it, given what the landscape is and how expensive cars can be. But that's still interesting, given what you came up seeing. What was Douglas County like when you were a kid and your dad was an official and you were still waiting for the chance to get to drive any car, let alone hit the age of 18 to drive at Douglas County?
Yeah, I mean, it was all old iron GMs. Any other county fair, that ruled the shows. Was the clamshell wagons, the roundbacks. There was a few Chryslers mixed in. The build was, from what I remember, it was okay. There were some guys that knew a little bit more than other guys. I mean,
sure.
You always knew the guy who had the better engine just because the way he performed. It stayed cool. Just that. I mean, it almost. You think about it now. Some of them were probably bone stock back then.
Right.
But now it's a total different world. Just from the progression, and I like the way the progression is. I don't foresee it ever going back to where everybody's stocked. But I mean, it's nice to have people that can. There's different levels of people that what they can afford, and it's how much do you want to spend or how much time do you want to put into it to have a good build.
Well, that's a huge part of it right there. I mean, the bone stock, when you said the bone stock compacts were taken off, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I think that's the case pretty much everywhere that you go. That bone stock division for the 4 and 6-cylinder cars, the small sixes, it's successful pretty much everywhere that you go. Even if they allow, which I think they should, if they don't, they allow some sort of floating cage or 4-point cage, something just for driver safety. You don't necessarily have to have the crazy gas tank protectors and stuff built into the back of them. You don't have to have them loaded down with these gigantic cages, but just something to help keep everything outside the car outside and everything inside the car inside and in one piece. And then the bone stock full-size classes too. People have found new life and new uses for some of the 9802s, some of the 03 and newers that have been outlawed other places are using them in these stock type shows, and you can get them reasonably affordable, and they can hold their own, even if it's something as simple as a bumper swap. We saw Ron McClung put an AMC bumper on one and did just fine in a very, very, very stock derby down in Clarion a couple years ago, and he's done it everywhere he goes since. Steve Bucknam has been a huge proponent of that growing up with what he saw out there at the Northeast Championships in Massachusetts. There's even more stock stuff the further north that you go, where we've talked about it before on the show, where they're still leaving the front windshields in the cars, which is that's just beyond me. I don't know how anybody gets a chance to see, but that's probably the ultimate of stock right there.
Yeah, and this year we actually did something new. I know it's popular probably on other areas. They did a bump and run circle track race
Okay.
That you could do. The compacts did their own race, and then the full size bone stocks, they did their own race. I actually was lucky enough. I didn't realize it, but I won that also.
That's cool.
I was in a rental car. I couldn't find a car before this Derby. It was here in Lawrence the same night. And so my nephew Coy, his buddy had a car that he was going to Derby eventually, and we were able to talk him into letting me renting the car for the night. And I put a cage in it, just a bar like you said in the back, behind the seat, and I had a bar in the middle from the back bar to the roof, just because I thought we were going to roll over. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Right.
But it was that type of deal where it was just a race. I wanted to run it once, and then if this kid sold it, let somebody else run it or whatever. I wasn't going to keep the car. I was
right.
I was glad it was a rental because I wasn't going to Derby it. It was a '95 Toyota Corolla. So I'm quite claustrophobic, and that car was quite tight for me. But
right.
It was fun. I mean, we got to bump and bang and see kind of what a circle track is like. I've had that in my background with family running circle track, and always wanted to see what it was like. But it was quite the event to run a '95 Corolla pulling the e-brake, going around corners, trying to drift, and getting banged around at the same time. It was fun.
So what's a bump and run race out there? I mean, when I heard bump and run, the first thing I thought was you've got a team of 3 cars, 2 of them have engines, or a team of 4 cars, and 3 of them have engines, and one of them doesn't have any power at all, and you've got to push the roller skate car that's just in neutral around the track until it completes X number of laps using the motorized cars. What's it out there?
We just did it, and it was the first time they did it. It was just a circle track. They put blocks in the middle of the track, and you did 10 laps. Whoever finished with the most laps was the winner.
So everybody had a motor. It was more like almost like an enduro style.
It was just like a circle track race, like a factory stock race or a pony stock race. It was just You guys go around the track 10 laps, but you were able to take other opponents out.
Sure. Yeah, it sort of fits with the description of what they do with some of the circle tracks up here. They call them enduros up here.
Yeah.
And they have yep. Yeah, that makes sense. You said you don't like spending a lot of time building cars necessarily, but it's getting to be about the time of year where you got to invest a whole lot of time putting one together. What's things look like for Blizzard Bash?
Well, I was fortunate enough to find the car last year, right after Blizzard Bash. The car's stripped. It's ready to be built, but I still got the car from last year to take apart. And then after that, I got to take this car apart that we're running right now to piece everything back together for a Blizzard Bash build.
And what class are we doing this year? You doing the team format again?
Yeah, we're doing the limited world teams again. Same team as last year. We're going to try our luck again. Again, Blizzard Bash is. It doesn't matter what you do during the year. Blizzard Bash is a total different atmosphere, total different spectrum of Derby. So whatever happens now is forgotten about, because when Blizzard Bash comes around, it's everybody's the best. I mean, there's no slouch.
Well, what's this do for morale? I mean, you can't say that it's forgotten or that it's over with. This has to give you some element of momentum or some confidence or something going into Blizzard Bash, having the run that you guys that you've been on.
Well, I hope so. We'll see. I mean, I've never had good luck at Blizzard Bash. So I'm hoping this is the year that we break that cycle.
I'll agree with the fact that you haven't had good luck. I'll agree with you there. You have been nothing but bad luck there for a while. You're due for a good run.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough. I ran it since the very beginning. I missed one year when my son Brody, my 5-year-old, he was born. I set out that year, but we were there the very first Blizzard Bash running on the team side of it. Up in different. We've done different classes, done the single classes and some mod classes and stuff like that. But we were there at the very beginning when nobody was there, and it, stayed with it. I'm very thankful for Sam Williams for bringing it close to our house, our home,
Sure.
Our area. It's been a huge influx in income in the Topeka area.
Yeah.
I live an hour away from Topeka, but you talk to anybody in Topeka, not during November, they know what Blizzard Bash is.
Right.
It's very popular in that city, especially around Blizzard Bash and Capital Carnage. Sam did a great thing bringing that in. I'm glad it all worked out.
It's a show that's a self-feeding monster at this point. I mean, it's just everybody knows about it. I was going to do a set the date, and everybody's ready to load up the cars and caravan down with trailers of derby cars, parts, or just suitcases to go take it in. It's such a spectacle.
Yeah, it's exciting.
How glad were you to see that limited well division get put on the schedule?
Yeah, it's the limited well classes. It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
We're glad to be a part of it.
Would you rather do the limited well team, or would you rather do one of the full-size qualifying bracket teams? A build like that?
Well, the funny thing is when we were building for the first Blizzard Bash, that was the limited well rules now.
Yeah, right.
That perception has changed so much.
Yeah.
In the 8 or 9 years that what we're building for limited well now is what we were building the first 2 years.
Right.
For and that was the national team side.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better that way just because I don't have to spend money on spindles and, we're still allowed full protectors, we're still allowed full training protectors, rear embraces, all that stuff. And we're just not allowed as much welding on the frame. The bodies are welded a little different. If you still had the pressurization of the cradle to the firewall, it'd probably still be about the same, but we got to cut firewalls out and all that. But once you get their plates on, the cars are pretty solid.
And you guys went to third, if I remember right?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We were able to get third. We actually got the bye round the first night because the team had dropped out. I guess I don't really remember, but we were able to take the bye and take third in the feature. And then last year, I think we got fifth in the feature.
Fifth. I know you guys were right down. I seem to remember you guys had one car down there quite a ways. Yeah, that was the year that the Roarbacks and Zach. I think Zach Ponzer.
Yeah, Ponzer's team won at the
you were third.
And then Caddy Nation won it last year.
Right. Yep. That's good. I mean, you certainly talked to a couple drivers before that said that one of the reasons that they run so much in the summer is just to make sure that they're fresh, so that they're sharp. I mean, does that factor into your thought process at all? I mean, you're in these limited weld cars all summer long. Now you're putting one together, a fresh build for it to go run the biggest derby of the year. Does that factor into it?
Yeah, it really does. You're able to try some things out. Like I said, I ran my Blizzard Bash car twice after Blizzard Bash, so I was able to keep running the car. Try some different things. I was able to run down in Oklahoma with it in January and tried some things there. We actually blew up a transmission that night. I run 3-speed transmissions. A lot of guys don't like them. I really favor them. Whether they break or not, I still, 3-speed to me is the only way to go. Just easier for me. But we're able to swap transmissions out when they break.
Right.
So testing different parts with that, testing different training protectors, because not a lot of guys are in the market of making training protectors. And so Shan, he's quite the fabricator, quite the welder. He built a really good protector on it, but we made it so it would bolt on and off if we had to change transmissions. And so we were able to change the transmission after a heat before Constellation and run again and still go to the feature that night. So, I've heard a lot of guys say that they test parts out. They run all summer long, no matter what the class is, just to keep their skills sharp and, make sure parts are good, because you want to be ready for Blizzard Bash.
Yes,
you want to be prepared. And with the luck I've been having at Blizzard Bash, I definitely want to be prepared.
Right. Very true. Is there anybody that, before we let you go, that you wanted to make mention of?
First off, I'd like to thank my wife. She lets me do this. I can say that. My wife lets me derby. We dated for a long time before we got married, and I was derbying then and, continuing to derby now. But I don't know how many years I have left of derbying. It's kind of getting to the point where it's still fun. It's still a lot of work, but I kind I kind of got to start looking ahead to future things like, what my kids want to do. I can't be so selfish all the time. So, and again, I like to think my kids, of course, they're with my wife. Those 5 are the world to me, my wife and my 4 kids. So definitely got to thank them. Plus my kids help me a lot. My boys, they're quite derby kids. Every day they're watching Blizzard Bash DVDs every second of the day when they're not at school or baseball or whatever. My parents help me out a lot. And then, like I said, Coy, my nephew, and Shan's best friend. Guy will do anything for you, build anything for you. And then here recently, I purchased a Guard engine, and Jeremy Guard he's just like his sticker says, powering you to victory lane. And that engine is awesome, and I'm glad I chose. There's a total list of engine builders out in the country, and I stuck with Jeremy Guard because his reputation is very great of building quality parts and engines that last, and I can say that the engine that I'm running is doing awesome. So he's helped me out a lot.
We know a lot of people that swear by those Guard motors. Chris Lancaster has one. Eric Moulet has a Guard motor. Bobby Brockway's done a lot of winning with Guard motors. And I know there's people that were missing just off the top of my head, but those Guard motors, they do hold their own against anything, don't they? Yeah.
Very pleased with it.
Jason Koch, that was the guy I was trying to think of. Jason Koch's won a bunch of derbies and done very well at Bash for Cash with Guard power.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we might have missed that you wanted to hit on?
No, man, I think that's it.
Well, I don't think this was very painful, was it?
No, not too bad. I read everything you told me to say. So.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, man, stay in touch as we get closer to Blizzard Bash. Let us know how the builds are going. You got any more derbies between then and now?
That's the only reason why I ran this last one last weekend, was just because I think it's time to start focusing on the Blizzard Bash car. We have a lot more derbies in this area coming up, but if you don't put your focus on, the main one at the end, you're going to run out of time. So,
right.
I think we're done with the fair season here, and we're going to start doing Blizzard Bash. So,
sounds good. Wish you the best of luck. We look forward to seeing you in Kansas.
All right, we'll see you there.
Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks a lot.
See you later, Jamie.
Thanks.
Jamie Frost was nervous about it, but I think he did okay. Held his own through the course of our evening here. We're going to tell you a little bit about some of the upcoming events on the calendar that are near and dear to us, Stern Dirt Racing. They're going to be busy in about 3 weeks. The West Jordan Beatdown is September the 8th in West Jordan, Utah. It's a $30,000 payout for a 4-man team derby. Heavy iron. And farm trucks, the order of the day, farm trucks running by themselves. On the teams, 2 Imperials are allowed. That'll be fun to watch. September the 14th is the Day of Reckoning at the Utah State Fair. Days of 47 Arena in Salt Lake City right there near the airport. $50,000 in total payout. $8,000 to win stock class. The first 24 cars to pass tech get $1,000 back right off the top. And they've got 2 Mad Dog awards, one paying $4,000. Second place Mad Dog is paying $2,000 to win. Pretty nice package right there. Online for more details, you can jump on there, SternDirtRacing.com. 2018 schedule for Smash It Demolition Derbies. It appears to end tonight. Looks like that's just about it. On the 13th for them, before they get into the big ones, we'll hit that in just a moment. August the 13th, tonight. In 20 minutes, they're going to throw the first green flag at the Meeks County Fair in Pomeroy. Leaf Class, Compact, Street Stock, Smash It Mowers, and Power Wheels on the schedule. Pull this up quick. I-75 point standings. Amy Elson leading that after the action on the 4th of August. Corey Slusler next. Jeff Miller and Jeremy Bodell. Randy Schmerge all tied right there for second place. Brad Hadding and Dusty Fout with 175 tied as well. Online for more details, SmashItDerby.com. We said once their fair season wraps up, they're going to be even busier with Blizzard Bash right around the corner. November the 7th is opening day for Blizzard Bash 2018 at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka, Kansas. They do that in Landon Arena. It's the home of the Roadrunners, the hockey team that plays in the city of Topeka. They pull all the ice out, drain the water off, and then pack that thing full of clay, put a vibratory roller on it, pack it as tight as concrete, and it's one of the best derbies you've ever seen or heard about with a team format. Heat draws are November the 7th during the pit party, scheduled from 7 to 10. The first on-track action is going to be at 4 o'clock on November the 8th. That's national and qualifying opening rounds. Again, they have the national bracket of the folks that are vying for the national championship and the qualifying bracket where the qualifying teams are trying to get into that national draw. The first 2 teams eliminated from contention in the national bracket are eliminated from the national bracket as a whole and have to go down to the qualifying side. November the 9th, the compact and limited weld team heat draws are at 5 o'clock. National and qualifying bracket round 2 both go off at 6. November the 10th is the twin bill, 10 o'clock start for the compact and limited weld team heats. And then at 6 o'clock, all the Team B features, the trucks, limited weld, one and done's also on the schedule there. Championship Sunday comes around on the 11th of November, 1 o'clock start. Bone stock, 80s mod, and all the Team A mains. Online for more details, blizzardbash.com. So, keeping it out of town first, we're going to look at October the 20th. Fall date for Chaos in the Valley. This is the 5th year of action and the 9th edition, if you can believe that already, of Chaos in the Valley action. Shenandoah County Fairgrounds is the home of it. Woodstock, Virginia. Showtime's at 5 o'clock. Again, that date, October the 20th. Compact, stock V8s, modified V8s, and SUV class. Monster builds, monster payouts, and it's going to be a fun night of action. Heats and features for the compacts. Likely heats and feature for the stock V8s. Modifieds will be one and done. SUVs are one and done as well. This is the Derby last year where they went from like 5,000 to win to 8,000 to win. They threw an extra $3,000 at first place for the compacts. It was awesome. Derby goes to benefit Tom's Brook Volunteer Fire Department. Online, they have an active Facebook page, facebook.com/Chaos Valley. You can also get in on the Josh Wilkins Team Cardiac Arrest built W-Body raffle car that was raffled off last year. The winner of it was already qualified for the feature. They handed him $1,000. You can't take the fresh car to the feature if you're already qualified. So that being the case, he took the grand. The car went into storage. They're going to raffle it off again in the fall. Again, that date, October the 20th. Brookfield Wheel Days is right around the corner. We're about 6 weeks away from this one, September the 29th at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Brookfield, New York. The annual fall cleanup event. You can't miss it. Typically about 150 entries, 15, 16, 17 heats. The full-size and large 6-cylinders run together. They have an Imperials-only heat. Full-size trucks run by themselves. Vans and SUVs run together. They have a compact division for the small wheelbase 6-cylinders and 4-cylinders. Then they have a small feature and a large feature where the full-size, mid-size, 6-cylinders, and Imperials all go into one feature at the end of the night. It's an awesome show to watch. Fantastic. Online, you can find more. Facebook.com/KingsSmash'em. That's a promoter, and it's held at the Madison County Fairgrounds, MadisonCountyFairNY.com. King Smash 'em, Crash 'em, Demolition Derbies. Oversaw the action at Fulton, Brewerton, and Euchre Rome Speedways through the course of this year as well. Spinning Wheels Productions, they've done a little bit of updating on their website, spinningwheelsproductions.com. September the 1st, this is the GDS Fair. It's in Newfoundland, Pennsylvania. Economy V8 class and compact class. Each of those divisions are paying $1,200 to win. The Bone Stock V8 and the Bone Stock 4 and 6-cylinder classes paying $500 to win each. Again, those are all separate classes. Economy V8, compact, Bone Stock V8, and Bone Stock 4 and 6. The Youth Economy stock is paying $500 to win. The Figure 8 Economy Compact gets $250. It's built to the Economy Derby rules, so the winner also gets a feature spot with a chance to go for that Economy 6-cylinder purse, $1,200 to win there. The Limited Weld V8 gets 100% of the entries in the full-size trucks. The money's still to be decided on that one. Again, that's September the 1st, GDS Fair, Newfoundland, PA. And then to round out their season, already, if you can believe it, we're looking at the San Filippo Smash, October the 6th. There's going to be more than 200 entries there, hands down. Bring your car, and the officials will find you a heat to run, and anything left at the end can run for the San Filippo Cup. It's all part of a fundraiser to help generate research for MPS 3A, and in an effort to find a cure for that. It's a goal this year of $50,000, and we're looking for updates actually on that and where they've managed to land as we get ready to do that run-up to the San Filippo Smash. Jeremy Gully at the helm of that one, working with Josh Buell and Josh Decker on that one. And we'll get this queued up and ready to go and put this up one more time for everybody so that we can hit on Caleb's Wish one more time. It's going around the internet. Odds are, if you're a Derby fan, you've probably been tagged in it today. Caleb's Wish. Caleb is a young man who's been fighting leukemia, and they've elected to no longer pursue treatment, which is a very tough and sad decision. But one of Caleb's wishes is that his coffin be covered with racing decals. He loves racing, loves Demolition Derby, you name it. They're going to find a way to get those decals on there if we can get those decals to them. The address, 314 NJ, Oskaloosa, Iowa, 52577. Caleb's Wish. These are racing decals is what they're looking for to decorate Caleb's coffin as he has been diagnosed with terminal leukemia and is not seeking any further treatment for it. Stickers again to 314 NJ, Oskaloosa, Iowa, 52577. So keep Caleb and his family in your thoughts as they go through this very, very difficult transition. I can't imagine what that family's going through, and if we can do anything to relieve their stress and pain by throwing a couple of decals to them, I'm sure all of you can find a 32-cent or 44-cent stamp or whatever a stamp costs these days and get something in the mail off to that family. That is going to do it for us tonight. 238 episodes strong now. This one's in the books. It's going to do it for us here at the North Park Building at Academy Square. We will not be back here Monday. Just a programming note. Monday will be off. We'll probably try and squeeze something in through the course of that week, but we will not be on Monday night forthcoming. We're going to be out of town over the weekend, and I don't know if our travel is going to let us get back in time to get to the studio. So enjoy a week off. Maybe we'll be able to coordinate with Brian and get in here. We'll do something pre-recorded and get it loaded up that way as well. But we'll keep you posted as things go. Keep your eye on the Facebook page. That's going to do it for us here at Academy Square. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see everybody again in, if nothing more, at least 2 weeks when we're back on the air on the 27th. We'll see everybody then. Thanks.
Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon and Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.